What's wrong?
I'm waiting on something.
Like what?
I'm waiting on my R5 camera to come here today. Do you know what time it's going to be here?
Yes.
What time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock? I have to wait. That's a long time.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Daddy, relax. The camera will be here. Take a chill pill.
Ooh, bam! Alright guys, we are back. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. It is so great, to see you here today. And guys, I have a box. If I have a box, something is about to go down. And today's video is going to be, I promise you, it's going to be quite exciting. Now, as you can see here in this amazing box, I have something special that came in the mail today. My brand spanking new EOS R5. And, it feels like I've been waiting for years for this thing to come in. So you can imagine how excited I am to dive into this and open this sucker up. I'm going to bring you along with this journey as well. But before I do, I just want to welcome you to this channel. So you see, I don't do a lot of unboxing videos. Actually, I think this is the first one, or might have been the second one. But what you can expect is a lot of gear reviews, photography tutorials, and a lot of updates on the photography industry, news related and so forth. Now, if that sounds like something that you'd like to see more of, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. You'll want to stay up to date on our latest videos. Plus, by subscribing, this is just one of the tasks that you have to complete in order to be able to enter into our monthly giveaways. We have monthly giveaways all the time. So not only will you be notified when we publish a new video, but you'll also be one step closer to potentially winning some really awesome photography gear. So what do you say? Pull up a seat and let's go. Now, before I go opening up this really awesome box, I do want to clarify I am not a Canon ambassador. They did not send me this camera, and nor did they sponsor this video. I paid full price for this camera through Adorama and stole a few bucks from my kid's piggy bank as well. That was actually funny. Not true, but it was funny. All right, guys, so let's dive into this thing right now. We need a knife. All right. You know what, where are my manners? Photography Talk, this is El Chete. This is Photography Talk. Actually, guys, in all seriousness, this is a new toy that came in. Not really a toy, but was picked up along with a few other. I'm a big Tops knife fan, and this is a new addition to my collection. This is a El Chete. This is their machete, foot-long blade, 1/4 inch thick. This thing weighs about 2 pounds. This thing's a beast. I actually picked up this for the Photography Trek and Adventure series for clearing out brush and whatever else that I may need to chop. But I saw this, had to have it. This thing is a beast and one heck of a instrument. Okay, let's crack this open. Actually, I think the best entry point is going to be on the bottom. And yes, seeing that I already have this thing, I am going to open it up with this massive blade here, assuming I don't hack into my camera that's in there. That would seriously suck. Boom. Boom. All right, guys, so here is everything, or pretty much everything, out of the box. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on outlining. We all know Canon stuffs in the wires. We all know Canon, Nikon, Sony, they always stick some sort of neck strap in there that... Does anybody actually use these things? The charger looks very familiar, very similar to the same charger that the EOS R was using. So again, put that aside. Now, the one thing I will point out here is the batteries. Now, while they are pretty much the same, or they look very similar, this one has a little kind of a gold sticker on there. The nomenclature is the LP E6NH November Hotel versus the LP Echo 6 November out of the EOS R. And so both batteries will work, so which is pretty awesome. So let's get that one over there. Now, before I get into the camera, I do have to mention, good Lord, look at the size of this manual. This thing is enormous. Now, full disclosure, I don't usually read these manuals, not at least from front to back, even the small ones. So there's very little chance that I'm going to read through this beast of a manual. Leave a comment below. Do you or have you ever read from front to back a manual from your camera? Let me know. Curious to know. All right, let's stuff in the battery here. All right, and I'm going to bring over the EOS R here as well. Okay, onto the camera. So right off the bat, you can notice, or you can see how much the R5 really looks like the EOS R. Now this makes sense given that they're really close cousins. Now the EOS R is noticeably bigger and heavier, but it's just by a tiny amount. It's surprising what Canon has stuffed or managed to stuff inside all these incredible features inside this small body. And speaking of the EOS R, since I obviously have the EOS R, stay tuned. I'm going to be doing a head-to-head comparison of these two cameras later on. But for now, I really want to focus on the unboxing and my first impressions of the R5. Now, as I hold the R5 in my hand, I'm noticing that the grip is much deeper and chunkier than the one with the EOS R. And that is a great feature. And let me kind of segue off about this here. That was one of the big selling points when I moved from, or decided to pick this up to begin with. I had always thought my Z7 at the time, my Nikon Z7, was an amazing, and it still is an absolutely amazing feeling camera. I don't have it anymore, but when I had it, it felt really great. The EOS R actually became such a favorite for me in terms of handling. So this actually feels really good, guys, really solid. I mean, you can see how my fingers just really sit in there really nicely. Now, while on topic, so many mirrorless cameras I've had over the years, and I'm looking at you, Sony, have a tiny grip that can't accommodate all my fingers. But this grip feels fantastic. So even with my larger hands, I don't have any problem getting all my fingers onto the grip. Now this in turn makes the R5 feel nice and steady in my hands. But does it feel steady in my hand with a lens attached? Well, let's find out. One of my favorite RF lenses is the 1535 2.8. So let's see how this camera feels with this lens attached to it. All right, yeah, the grip feels fantastic with the lens attached. The weight seems to be well distributed. The camera doesn't feel front heavy, and you don't feel like you're going to lose grip either. Plus, guys, look at this here. How badass does this camera look with this lens attached? It looks like it was made for this. Actually, it was, but you get the point where I'm leading. Back to first impressions, though. On the same side of the grip are the card slots. On the EOS R, as you know, it just has simply one slot, which of course annoyed a lot of my photography colleagues. Apparently, Canon heard those complaints because this bad boy, as you can see, has two slots. One is for the UHS 2 SD cards, and the other one is for the CF Express cards. Now, this was a must for this camera because you need faster CF Express cards when slinging around and recording those massive 8K files. Now, unfortunately, my CF Express cards won't be here until Saturday, so I'm going to forego the 8K video test for now, but rest assured, a detailed 8K video test will be coming very soon. On the other side of the camera are the ports. Now, an interesting difference that I noticed between the EOS R and the R5 is that the R5 has moved the microphone and headphone jack ports up higher. So on the EOS R, if you're vlogging and you have the screen facing to you, the microphone jack is smack in the middle of your LCD. But on the R5, as you can see here, here is the mic jack up here. This is up on the very top, so that keeps the LCD clear of any obstructions as you vlog. Now, speaking of ports, on the front of this camera, you're going to notice a plug for an intervalometer. Now, I don't do a ton of nighttime photography, but all you astrophotographers out there, this is going to be a nice addition to the R5. On the back, it's immediately noticeable that the touchpad that Canon caught a lot of heat for is now replaced with a joystick. Another change that is evident is the absence of the traditional D-pad, like the one right here on the EOS R. So instead of having that circular button that goes up, down, left, right, you have a single wheel that you can rotate. We're going to see how that changes the workflow with this camera. Now, as you flip the LCD screen out, it is noticeable that the hinge is very well built. Sometimes you come across these flip out screens that just feel like they could easily snap, or they feel not really sturdy or kind of fragile. But this one actually, it feels really nicely anchored without feeling as though it's hard to move the screen around. And while talking about the screen, you can notice that the screen on here is actually a little bit larger than that of the one on the EOS R, which is a big plus. On top of the camera, it looks pretty much like the EOS R. The only thing that jumps out to me on the top of this camera is, if you look at the on and off button, it's been redesigned. Instead of being a larger wheel, the EOS R5's on and off button has a little part that is kind of juts out just a little bit, which makes it feel a lot easier to turn on and off. It actually feels pretty good, guys. Other than that, my first impression of the top of the camera is that it's virtually unchanged from the EOS R. Just an overall impression that this camera feels incredibly well made, as it should, since it is a high-end professional camera. Now, the words rugged and durable come to mind as I hold this camera in my hands. I think this will be an excellent camera for my upcoming photography treks and other adventures. All right, guys, with the first impressions out of the way, I did manage to get out and take some photos with this thing. And guys, I'm going to share some photos on the screen now, and I want to emphasize these are directly out of camera. They have not touched Photoshop, Lightroom, or any other post-processing program. I wanted to show what they look like straight out of camera itself. So I am shooting in RAW. Some first impressions of shooting, because what we did was we had to go out and tool around with the trailer for a bit there. So I took this opportunity to actually snap off some shots. I didn't have a whole lot of time to be able to play around with it, but enough to really base a further or add more depth to my first impression video here. So a few things that really stood out. I'm going to start off with this grip right here. And while we're chatting about this, those images are going to start sliding through here so you can see some of the images that I did take here today. But the grip, guys, I brought this up earlier in this video, but this grip after shooting with it and holding onto it for the last hour, hour and a half or so, this thing is really amazing. It fits seriously as if this was custom made for my hands. I really love the grip with this. Now, another thing that I really think is noteworthy to bring up is I was testing out the autofocus and how it locked from a stationary item, like for example the trailer or the truck or a tire, and then Caleb would come walking into the frame. This thing, without skipping a beat, if Caleb's head was facing, or back of his head was facing towards me, it would lock onto the back of his head. As soon as Caleb turned around and his eyes were visible to the camera, it locked on just like that. The autofocus is really, really spot on. It's actually pretty stinking amazing. Yes, I'm talking about your eyes. Shh. All right, and so in shooting the camera was a lot of fun. The larger screen does come in handy. The on and off button, we spoke about how it has, with this one, has a redesign with a little notch on it. It does make a difference. All right, now I didn't test out any video because, as I mentioned earlier, my CF Express cards do not arrive until Saturday, or tomorrow for that matter. And the only card that I had with me is, the maximum write speed is like 300, and so these other cards are going to be blazing fast. And of course, I want to be able to test out the 4K and 8K in one sweep. So today I was just playing around with the photos and just the overall feel of the camera. Just the autofocus system is, wow, really excites. Now, of course, when we dive into the video side of it, we're going to find out really fast, I suspect, some of what you're hearing already right now, and that's the overheating issue. How bad is it? We're going to find out, of course, I suspect when we start shooting the video, we're going to find out potentially some of the not so cool things about this camera. But so far, from a photo standpoint, from a still standpoint, this thing really rocks. All right, with that, my friends, our quick impression video is over. As I mentioned earlier, I'll have tons of videos coming up during the next few weeks on all aspects of this camera, so be sure to stay tuned for detailed looks at the R5 imaging capabilities, the video, as well as a comparison to the EOS R and much more. All right, now let's go over the details of our current giveaway. Here's the current prizes. We have a Peak Design carbon fiber tripod. We have a Peak Design travel backpack. We have a Peak Design everyday backpack zip and a $100 Adorama gift card. As always, entering the giveaway is really simple. Step 1, like this video and subscribe to our channel. Step 2, leave a comment below. In fact, the more of our videos that you watch and leave a comment on, the more chances that you have to win. So get watching some of our other videos and leave some comments. Step 3, register on PhotographyTalk and introduce yourself to the forum. Now, if you registered on the site and introduced yourself during the last giveaway or one of the last giveaways, you're still eligible to win. So, but swing on by, say hello, we'd love to see you. And that is it. For complete details on the giveaway or introducing yourself on PhotographyTalk and saying hello in the forum, check out the description below. Good luck. Well, there you go, my friend. That was the first impression of Canon EOS R5. How exciting this camera has been to play around with this afternoon. I'm looking forward to spending more time with this camera this upcoming weekend. So I'm going to get out. I'm going to play around with this. Actually, I'm going to head back over to the trailer and tool around with that. You get out there, have an amazing weekend, stay healthy, and create your best shot.